Welcome to episode 3 of the Road of Life podcast. This week, we're talking about reframing failure. Talking about failing fast. Failure is good and fail fast.
We've talked in the first 2 episodes about mistakes that we've made.
Yeah.
And
tons of them.
Like
so many that we're not going to even touch most, like a fraction of them in this.
We'll touch a couple.
Well,
maybe.
some of them, but yeah, so many.
It required a significant mindset shift for us because for me, I spent most of my life avoiding failure.
100%.
Afraid of failure.
Yeah.
Like failure was bad. Like couldn't fail. No failing. Failing was bad. And when you embark on this entrepreneurial journey, you're going to fail.
And it's good. It's actually a good thing to fail.
That's when you learn your stuff.
But it also means you're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Like
taking action.
Taking risks and doing things. Because I'll be honest, growing up, I was same as you, failure, not good. And so because failure, not good is the mindset, you're like, okay, well, this is going to be really, really difficult and I'm likely to fail, so I'm not even going to try.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do something else safer over here that I know I'm going to kick ass at.
Mm-hmm.
But then you don't grow.
Mm-hmm. But that was also the mindset that was reinforced in our corporate jobs. No failing in the corporate job.
No,
never. No mistakes, no oversights, no failing at work.
I think that's a consistent theme when you're on the default life path, on that road. I feel as though that is a
safe,
safe,
stable, low risk, no failure zone.
Yeah. And so I think by, taking this entrepreneurial journey, we're learning now that, no, we had it all wrong for so long. Mm-hmm. It's not avoid failure. It's actually go seek it out almost, because that's where you're going to learn the biggest lessons and it's actually going to accelerate you. It's going to get you where you want to go faster.
Mm-hmm. All the growth happens there.
And that mindset shift was such a huge, it was like a massive gap that I had to navigate, to jump, if you will.
Like I think we mentioned it in one of the episodes. When we started on this path, we thought we would learn from the mistakes of others.
Yeah.
And then we could avoid mistakes ourselves because we were still in that failure is bad, we don't fail mindset. So I'll read the books, I'll listen to the podcasts, I'll join the masterminds, I'll learn from all the other people so that I don't make any mistakes. I take every step right from here to eternity so I can live a life that I designed, that I love, my dream life.
Now, to be clear, the books, the podcast, the masterminds all helped, but it does not eliminate you making your own mistakes, nor do you want it to. Mm-mm. Now that I've, been on this path a little bit, I don't want to learn only from other people's mistakes. I want to learn the big ones. The massive sure, let's avoid those big pitfalls, but some mistakes you just have to make yourself. Mm-hmm. It hardens you. It makes you more resilient. Mm-hmm. Builds that resilience, and I think that's an underrated trait.
Well, mistakes is essentially like a really hands-on lesson in what not to do. And you've learned one way not to achieve the dream you set for yourself, the goal you've set for yourself. So you're one step closer to achieving that goal or that success that you want to achieve by making a mistake. Okay, well, that's not how I'm going to do it. So check that one off the list. Move on to the next way that I'm going to achieve that goal.
Let's talk about the business that we started initially. So we left our corporate jobs, had no plan of any sort of how we were going to make this work.
No, but needed to replace our corporate income like yesterday in our minds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not in reality.
Yeah, but in our minds that we were driven by the dollar. Mm-hmm. We were like, oh, this is a risk. We need to close or reduce this immediately. Mm-hmm. So we need to replace this income stat.
Yeah. Also, we had joined a real estate investing mastermind, and we were watching a lot of our peers in that group having success in their businesses, and so there was a little FOMO, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's another lesson that we'll talk about in a future episode of, that compared to that fear of missing out, that comparative reality and not comparing your journey to someone else's and all that stuff. And I think that's a really important lesson that we will talk about. But
it was certainly a factor in us
jumping
into starting a business
It was.
immediately. Like, I wasn't even out of my corporate job when we were starting this business.
Yeah, we knew that you were leaving in a matter of
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we wanted to get on this early. And I think it was also, there was an altruistic motive behind it too. There was a helping of the community or whatever. We
were blinded by the altruism behind it.
Yeah,
for
we
sure.
won't get into specifics of all of it. It's a long story that's maybe going to bore some folks, but there was the replacing the corporate income, the fear of, being left behind by our peers, and there was the altruistic pull of doing this and
making
having
the world a better place. That whole draw.
But
for sure.
That's cool. But then there was you have no idea what you actually want in life. We've not done that work to understand what it is that we want, or if this
we
even
weren't
aligns.
wise to that yet at this point. But that's another piece of this.
Yeah,
we didn't know it yet, though.
Yeah, and we had no idea if these numbers actually the business. We didn't even do the due diligence on the front end, like the business side. We didn't even have that wherewithal, that understanding of
because
running the numbers.
Because we were blinded by the altruism, because we were seeing this beautiful impact we could have in our community. We were so excited about that part.
Sure.
That we didn't follow through and do the nuts and bolts due diligence of running the numbers and seeing if this actually could work.
So we start this business, and within 6 weeks,
we closed it.
We were like, what are we doing? This is miserable. We hated it.
We were miserable within 3 to 4 weeks. And then we spent another couple of weeks trying to...
We were so bad at this that we had spent money on marketing this thing.
Yeah.
And we paid that marketing contract until, I think, June, maybe July. July. And we closed it in February. So, literally for 5 months, we're paying this bill to advertise a company that we don't even want.
We shut the website down.
Hated it.
We started and ended this company in a 6-week period of time.
Yeah.
And then we had to still pay for the marketing on a company that no longer existed for 5 additional months. That's how bad we were at this.
That's the level of mistakes we're talking. So please understand that if you're considering making a big decision, a change, and going down this path, but you're afraid of making mistakes, I assure you, you can. You'll make mistakes. You may not even make them as bad as what we've made them.
You likely won't.
If you can come back, if we can come back from this type of mistake and this kind of learning, then you can too. And so I think that's the lesson here, is that mistakes are going to happen, and
you got to find the lesson from them.
You've got to find the lesson, learn from it.
And so we learned a couple of big lessons from that particular failure.
Yeah.
The first one was,
understand what you want.
We didn't know what we wanted.
Understand what you want.
It wasn't until we were, elbow deep in this and miserable that we realized that this business we're building is not at all aligned with what we want in our life.
No.
We hadn't done the work to decide what we wanted in our life, but we just knew we could feel the misalignment. We couldn't see it because we hadn't done that work yet, but we could feel the misalignment between this business and the life we wanted to be living.
And not only that, but we were so miserable. Like it was a really tough time for both of us, that 6-week period, where it was like, we've always had a pretty good relationship.
I'd say more than pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I felt like it was actually like we were like grumpy almost. Like we didn't want to be doing what we were doing.
It was making us miserable.
Yeah. And it was almost affecting that relationship.
Which made us miserable to be around. And we were both that way. So it was not a good dynamic for our relationship either.
No. And, building, like when we decided to leave the corporate world, we were, thinking like there's got to be another way, a better way. And then when we get into this decision that we've made to start this company, and we realize, wait, this is actually way worse than what we had before. We are not on the right path here.
We created ourselves new jobs that we hated more than our old jobs that didn't pay us anything.
It didn't pay anything.
We traded in our 6-figure salaries
for zero income salaries.
And jobs that we didn't like even more.
Yeah, it was like, whoa, what are we doing here? But at least we had the wherewithal within 6 weeks to pull the pin, because to our credit in that moment, sometimes people will make a decision and stick with it too long.
We were very decisive in that moment.
We decided that this wasn't what we wanted. We knew in our gut, we didn't know what it was we wanted, but we knew in our gut it wasn't this.
That's the level of misery we were experiencing.
Yeah.
That we were so decisive by that 6-week mark that we pulled the plug on everything. Like, we had a beautiful website, a beautiful logo, all this marketing, we've done the whole 9 yards, and then pulled the pin.
But it goes to our point. If you're going to fail fast. Learn from it, move on. And I think in that that was where we really, really learned that lesson, was that company was, okay, we're taking action. We made a move, not the right one, but we made it. We failed really fast, like record time fast. Like bankrupted a company in like 6 weeks.
Yeah, no big
record fast. But fail and fail fast. Learn the lesson and move on and keep moving forward. So what did we do? We then decided that, okay, this company, not for us. What do we need? What do we want though? And I think that's a conversation for another time. But and that lesson that we learned then is you really need to know what you want and where you want to go, where you want to head.
That way, when it comes time to make decisions, you've got something you can hold that decision up against, your North Star, to say, does this decision bring me closer to that North Star or not? And the other thing I will say about learning the lessons, we learned another lesson with that company. And I mean, it's similar. What do we want our life to look like? And how does this get us closer to our dream life? And we don't want to be buying ourselves new jobs. Like, we're not looking to create a new job for ourselves. We want to live life differently. And so when we had an opportunity to invest in another company, start a grilled cheese franchise, we started down that road for a minute. And then it was like, whoa, wait a second. This is the same as the other business.
Yeah, this feels very similar.
We're just creating ourselves another job again. We looked down the road, the same road again, just on a bigger scale.
The grilled cheese story, I think, is another episode where we talk actually about how that all came to be and that whole ordeal, that whole adventure on the grilled chease. We literally drove 20 hours for a grilled cheese.
Correct.
We'll talk about that in a different episode.
We'll have that episode, the 20-hour grilled cheese. But I only bring it up to say that because we failed fast in this first business and we took the lessons, we were able to see it coming the second time and apply those lessons. So we didn't make the same mistake twice and at 10 times the cost.
Yeah, this business that we closed, and we had this marketing expense for it was peanuts compared to what this next opportunity.
I wasn't being hyperbole when I said 10 times. It was exactly 10 times the investment it would have been. And so we saved ourselves a 10x investment because we made this first mistake. A 10x loss, correct. We saved ourselves a 10x loss because of this first, what felt like giant failure that we had, that we did take a lesson from so that we could see the second mistake coming. Yeah. And so take the lessons.
So reframe failure. It's a good thing. You take the lessons from it. Fail fast. Take the lesson, move on, and keep moving forward. Keep that momentum going. I think those are the key lessons in this episode, I would say. Anything else you want to add, McKay, before we sign off?
Nope, that's all for now.
All right. Well, happy adventures on your road of life, and we will see you when we see you.